Hello. How's it going, guys? It's been a crazy week for me, and I think I just want to, take you through it. APIs are hard, but even with dev, it's almost even harder. with Not with dev, with AI, it's almost even harder. Let me just start. Hello, folks. To my lovely dozen, thank you very much for showing up. I don't say that sarcastically. One of the reasons that I don't ask people to like, subscribe, or follow is because I'm sure you're following a zillion people. And I guess I really haven't found my voice, but one of the voices is Dev. So that's what I kind of wanted to go over today, because I was working with this API script for weather and I wanted to show it to you, but naturally GitHub is down, so can't show it to you. But what I can walk you through are a screen. I can walk you through a screen window. Is that it? Yeah, this is it. So this is the thing that was driving me bat fluff crazy this weekend. So for those who don't know, I am a developer now I'm a developer personally, but in my corporate life, I was a developer. Went on sysadmin, for years, managing sysadmins, consultant, international consultant, early retirement. So when I really retired, it got boring kind of quick to just sit there and think about nothing when you saw this technology evolving in front of you. What I didn't expect was that time paused, if you will, because where I left off, things were going away from. So I figured when I came back, it would all be different. But it turns out it was the same stuff, except they weren't doing server side and client side anymore. They were just doing client side with some pushes to do production. But people tried to live the life serverlessly, but now they're going back to the stuff that I was doing. So I had to relearn everything. It was super hard. But I'm to a place where my knowledge is growing. I want to eventually, have some Web3 games, right? But to do that, for me, I've decided when I retired, security professional, and I worked for Ernst & Young. So, it wasn't a boutique shop. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because boutiques have very big clients. But I'm saying the pressure, it was intense pressure. And so I've seen the bad things that can happen when apps aren't developed correctly. And it's so funny, I'm getting a Wi-Fi signal right now, and I'm sitting right next to the router. Go figure. So when you see the bad things that can happen, you're going to program in security into your apps. So I wanted to understand APIs better. I was taking a class with the Coach YouTube channel for APIs, and we got to this point where he was going to use Dark Sky API. Dark Sky API naturally sunsetted just a few days before I wanted to use it for this class. So it forced me to use WeatherKit. That's how we got here. Well, I really don't use these a lot. So, getting to know them was challenging. And the amount of errors that I made, I tried to use Open Assistant. By the way, this is a good one. Open Assistant Uh, AI, OpenAssistant.io is an AI engine that is new. It's kind of open source, but people are building it. The kind of cool thing is, that might not be that cool, is that it remembers things that you talked about before. The bad part about that is, like, if you can see here, I had to learn that you have to say, this is a fresh conversation. Then I tried to use Bard for, troubleshooting. And, oh my God, did I have the wrong? No, I had the right stuff. And Bard is okay, but it just wasn't helping. Another one that a lot of people, I don't know what that is. Then a lot of people, they come here, the Hugging Face, and you can build your own. But the bottom line was, the grand champion was ChatGPT by far. But it still was giving me wrong information. So let's go back to this API. Oh my God, this is wrong, right? So you're going to your root documentation that are supposed to tell you how to execute on something, and this is wrong. So the additional problem that you run into is ChatGPT, unlike the others, will say, hey, I'm only up to 2021, so here you go. So when you don't understand something, you're trying to come around to understanding how it works. And then you go to the documentation, you try to read that, and it doesn't make sense. You conflate a lot of things. So something that was supposed to be what some would call a simple API call turned into this mixed bag of learning from here, having AI put something wrong, getting exactly what I wanted, but not knowing it and continuing to press on. Because I thought, and if you're still here, you want to hear this story. I thought that, part of this, what it was supposed to return, I thought it was going to return me weather data. But if I'd read, what it said is it's going to return me, let me see. No, not there. This is even hard. Maybe it was going to return me this. Yeah. This is all I got returned, right? And that was just nothing for the AI to understand. So I was like, AI, you're doing it wrong. Meanwhile, I was kind of doing it wrong. It wasn't necessarily doing it right. I didn't understand the calls in the code. This stinks that I can't show you guys the code. I promise I'm going to try it. I promise I'm going to try. No commitment in that statement. I'm going to do my best. Ding! I'm going to do my best to post more dev stuff because, oh my God, it was 4 days of frustration. And you can't force, when you're doing dev, people can tell you all the time, I'm a dev. No, you're not. Like, the reason I know you're not a dev is because the amount of time you have to spend with your face in the code. It's hard work. And working with, you see all these videos about, oh, AI is great. It's going to take your job. Not so much. It really did bad with APIs. And one of the reasons that it's always probably going to do bad is because it's 2 years behind the data. So finally, I realized that I was trying to, my authentication mechanism was working. And let me tell you guys, this is not easy to configure. And when I show you the code, you're going to go, what? You have to have a GET method. You have to set up Express to serve as an API engine. So my next step is to move this to something like Firebase, where I can call it for the app I do want to create, just to understand APIs. I'm doing all of this just to understand APIs. I'm not even doing the code yet. But it's just, you think you hear all of these stories about AI being the end all be all. And it is if you're at the early parts of your understanding of code. It's great. But when you're trying to do something advanced, it just, you're running uphill with skates on. You can do it, but it might take you 4 days. Okay, it took me 3 3/4 days. But how can you be expected to win? Like if I go over to chat, another chat engine, and I tell it, because I got timed out on ChatGPT-4 for asking too many questions, so I have to wait. And I come here and I try to rebuild the situation. You have to rebuild the whole conversation because the AI is thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. Just like a real person. It goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Please explain to me. And then it offers solutions. And while you're trying to put together all the ideas of the stuff that you're learning, it makes it even more confusing. Then you go to something like Bard. Bard looks like it's trying to tell you what to do, but only ChatGPT will talk to you in a way that's even somewhat intelligent. And if you try to use ChatGPT 3.5, it's horrible. It's just, like I said, it's what's her name? Not Demi Moore. Drew Barrymore in 99 Dates. It just forgets everything. So while all the chat or AI LLMs, large language models, are able to help you when you're in the heat of trying to troubleshoot, like there's nothing that can help you other than you in your own knowledge. So what I finally got back at about midnight last night was all the data that I wanted, but I was like, oh, well, where's the rain? And where's the rain pictures? And, where's the setup on the page? And it's like, no, stupid, we'll give you the data. You create that. And so it's really intimidating to work with APIs because it is so much data. You got to understand what an object is. You got to understand far more than that. But I'm getting closer. Every day I'm doing better and I don't quit. And it's really hard not to quit when you go to the root documentation and it's wrong. For example, ALG, well, that's short for algorithm. Well, if you try to include alg in your code, and this is, by the way, the header, it doesn't understand that object, right? AI won't tell you because AI is outdated 2 years ago. It expects you to know. So what I've discovered is that working with AI in development is making me better, faster, but it's not making it easy. The bonus is like you won't sit there and be caught up on, okay, where's that closed bracket? Where's that comma? Where's that typo? Those days are done. But you still get into complex logic or complex logic where you have to use your own brain to figure stuff out. Now, because of my past experience, I'm going to get there a lot quicker, but it's still hard. Remember, I've bragged, I am the greatest average developer there is. Like, shut up. Don't even try to compete with me. So that was really it, guys. Okay, so let me explain something here. This annoyed me so much. Like, you could copy this whole thing or copy a part of it and put it into the AI engine to ask a question. And so you would put something to the AI, like, it's understood everything you're working on. It's communicating with you perfectly. It says, hey, I get you, you get me. And then you type in something like that, like this curl command, and it goes, well, naturally stupid. You don't use curl unless you want to use a Python example. So let me write you a Python example. You're like, no, because once it writes the Python example, when you ask it the next question, it's like, hello again. And it tries to remember your whole conversation, but it brings in the Python component. So you're like, your head's going to explode. But let me do this. options. So on this one, this is a curl command. It just means command line URL, right? It's got some parameters here, but you see that where it says authorization bearer developer token. The steps that you have to take to just get your token are ridiculous. Not in a bad way. You feel smart after you do it. But you have to go to Apple. You have to have a developer account. You have to create an identity. You have to create the token. You have to go create a JW. You have to go to JWT, create an object. They give you a .p8 file. The P8 file has a command in it that executes, that signs your JWT, which is then sent to your Apple authentication so that you can say, yeah, you can use this thing that won't work. So you see just this little thing where it says authorization bearer, developer token. That is about 30 minutes of work just to get that, just to get it, not to get it working. So there's just so many horror stories. It's like, when I lived in New York City, you take the subway, and I was just talking to my friend, Sarah. You literally have a story every day about something you're like, wow, never saw that before, So in dev, I think it's kind of the same way, but we're going to turn this into a good thing. I'm sorry that, it's not as sexy, but I think my voice here, my strongest voice is in the dev space. So I'm going to keep it here. And the main two of the dozen are Cole and Mitchell, and they said, hey, yeah, tell us about the code. So I hope I did that in a way that you guys understand. Sorry about bouncing around, but I really feel like 10 o'clock is the better time to do this, because otherwise it feels like I'm getting up and got to get ready for a job. All right, guys, it's been real and fun. I did not know that I was going to be able to speak this way. I was like, what am I going to talk about? But we did it. And if you stayed this long, thank you very much. Leave a comment. Or you can you tell them that at the beginning, but if people have waited this long, they really do want to like it. So give it a like. All right, guys, have a blessed week, and I'll see you tomorrow. Game on.